I'm here to share a story that unfolded about 2.5 years ago, a tale that shook the very foundation of my family. It's not about my husband and me, for we've been happily married for 14 years. Instead, the unfortunate events I'm about to recount involve my parents, a 59-year-old woman and a 63-year-old man. They had been blissfully married for over 38 years, creating a life filled with love and shared adventures. After retiring to Arizona 3 years ago, they embraced a lifestyle of exploration, traveling from October through April and spending the warmer months with family in Utah. My parents owned a picturesque home along the river and a new diesel truck with a camper, and our family always looked forward to their visits. My husband had even set up full RV hookups on our 16-acre property, complete with electricity, water, and septic connections. Life was, by all measures, idyllic. But then everything changed last Thursday. In their Arizona community lived a woman named Josephine. To me, she exuded an air of discomfort, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Loud, obnoxious, and a fan of partying, she seemed like an odd match for my mom, who typically enjoyed a quiet, social drink only occasionally. My suspicions grew, but my mom assured me that Josephine was harmless, possessing a heart of gold. Despite my misgivings, my mom and Josephine became fast friends, and even some of her other friends warmed up to Josephine's boisterous personality. It was a red flag, but my concerns fell on deaf ears. Little did we know that this friendship would unravel the tapestry of our family's ideal life, tarnishing the role model marriage my parents had built for my brother and me. The story I'm about to unfold is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that affairs and betrayal can happen at any age, and sometimes it's not just the young who succumb to forbidden romances. I assumed that Josephine and Jenny were going to continue their evening, but she felt tired and wanted to call it a night. Dad, ever the understanding husband, obliged and brought her home. However, this is where the tale takes an unexpected turn. As Mom settled back into our home, a heavy air of discomfort lingered. She seemed distant and preoccupied. When Dad questioned her about the sudden change in her plans and the extended nights out, Mom hesitated. Finally, with a mix of guilt and anxiety, she confessed. It was a revelation that shattered the image of the perfect marriage my parents had cultivated for over 3 decades. She admitted to being involved in an affair, not with just anyone, but with a man significantly younger than her, Josephine's friend, a so-called young simp. The news hit Dad like a ton of bricks. He listened in disbelief as Mom unraveled the forbidden romance that had developed during those supposedly innocent happy hours. The belly tingles and the excitement of a forbidden liaison had entangled her in a web of deceit, and the consequences were already taking a toll on her health. But what happened next was beyond anyone's expectations. Dad, a 63-year-old man, revealed a side that none of us had seen before. He didn't react with anger or despair. Instead, he calmly absorbed the shock, processing the betrayal with the composure of a true Sigma male. The revelation hit our family like a sudden storm, leaving devastation in its wake. As Mom cried out her confession to Dad, he held on to his composure, absorbing the shock of her betrayal. The very foundation of their 38-year marriage crumbled in an instant. That night, as Mom clung to Dad, pleading for forgiveness, he remained stoic. He instructed her to take a shower, and despite her pleas to share the bed, he firmly refused. The night was long, filled with Mom's repeated attempts to talk and Dad's insistence that they discuss matters in the morning. By 5:30 a.m., Mom finally succumbed to sleep, only to wake up at 8 a.m. and find Dad gone along with his camper. Dad announced to her he had quietly moved his belongings overnight, symbolizing his decision to separate from her. Despite the decades they spent together, Dad was resolute in his response to her infidelity. Dad's professionalism in handling the situation was astounding. He had left without disturbing Mom, utilizing the sliding door to the patio to move his clothes and personal items into the camper. Mom, desperate and confused, called him repeatedly, only to receive a text declaring their official separation as of 6 a.m. on April 9th, the very morning she woke up to an empty bed. The realization of the divorce shook Mom to her core. In a final call, Dad calmly repeated his decision to divorce her, stating that she would hear from his attorney once he had one. He hung up, leaving Mom in a state of disbelief and despair. As if fate had a cruel sense of irony, Dad reached out to Jenny's husband, the same Jenny who had accompanied Mom and Josephine on their fateful outings. He informed him of Mom's infidelity, and in a twist of events, Jenny's husband locked her out of their house. Currently, Jenny is staying with Josephine as they navigate the fallout of their choices. Dad then called my brother and me, breaking the news with a heavy heart. Initially, we thought it was a cruel joke, but as the reality of the situation dawned on us, tears flowed uncontrollably. The perfect family we had known was now shattered, and the pain of betrayal lingered in the air like a bitter taste. It's been an agonizing week since the bombshell revelation shattered the picture-perfect life my parents had built over 40 years. Mom's world has unraveled, and she's been on a desperate quest to find Dad, who, rightfully so, sought solace away from the chaos. As my brother and I grapple with this heart-wrenching situation, the dilemma we face is profound. Dad explicitly asked for privacy, and we've respected that. We know his whereabouts but have chosen to keep it from Mom. We stand firmly by Dad, recognizing him as the victim in this painful saga. Yet, our concern for Mom is overpowering. He's in a state of complete disarray, driving hundreds of miles, fueled by anxiety and despair. The fear of her physical and emotional well-being is keeping us up at night. The question gnaws at us. Should we disclose Dad's location to ease Mom's torment? Deep down, I believe we shouldn't. Dad's plea for privacy should be sacrosanct, and revealing his location might erode the trust he has in us. Yet, we also recognize the urgency to ensure Mom's safety. One tentative solution that has crossed our minds is to share Dad's general location with Mom, assuring her that she won't go to him. It might offer her some peace without violating Dad's trust. Yet, the potential damage to our relationship with Dad looms large. It's a delicate balance between supporting Mom and respecting Dad's boundaries. We grapple with the gravity of the situation, torn between the needs of both parents. An update on Mom last night: she was in the St. George area, continuing her quest for Dad. I managed to convince her to drive up to our house and spend a few nights with us. She agreed, and as she's expected to arrive this afternoon, I'll keep everyone updated. Your tips and support mean a lot during this difficult time. The past 10 days have taken a dramatic turn, unveiling a series of unfortunate events that have left my family reeling. Mom, arriving at my home in a state of distress, looked visibly unwell, expressing her discomfort. We allowed her to rest, but an alarming cry from my youngest daughter drew me to the bedroom where I found Mom in excruciating pain, doubled over and unable to move. Swiftly, my husband and I rushed her to the emergency room, where she displayed symptoms of a serious infection, possibly a urinary tract infection. The doctor initiated tests and treated her for severe dehydration. Shockingly, the root cause of her agony was traced back to a sexually transmitted disease contracted during the recent affair. The silver lining was that the STD was curable with antibiotics. However, after 48 hours in the hospital, her condition showed no significant improvement. Concerns escalated when the doctor speculated that she might have a drug-resistant form of the STD, a growing concern in recent years. Mom was put on a potent cocktail of antibiotics. After 5 challenging days, her fever finally broke and her condition stabilized, leading to her discharge from the hospital. However, this ordeal has taken a severe toll on Mom, physically and emotionally. Throughout her hospital stay, she repeatedly inquired about Dad, desperate to know if he had reached out to check on her. Truthfully, he hadn't, not even once. I've been the intermediary, providing him with daily updates. My family and I have been a constant presence by her side during her hospitalization, but her emotional state has taken a hit. Now at home with us, she seems to be physically recovering, but her incessant texts and calls to Dad reveal the deep emotional turmoil she's grappling with. The frustration in her voice was palpable as she uttered those words, expressing the hurt and confusion that had taken root in the aftermath of a 40-year marriage seemingly unraveling. It struck a nerve, and in a moment of heated anger I lashed out, unable to contain the turmoil within. If you didn't freak around, none of this would have ever happened. This is all your fault. You ruined our family. The truth was harsh, laid bare for her to confront, but the immediate regret that washed over me compelled a swift apology. She crumbled, tears streaming down her face, and I couldn't help but pull her close, enveloping her in a hesitant embrace. Our conversation unfolded for over 2 hours, a tumultuous exchange that revealed the sordid details of her indiscretions. The man she had been involved with, a 28-year-old construction worker, became the face of the betrayal that had shattered our family. The circumstances surrounding their interactions were unsettling. The presence of his friends, the intimacy shared between them while others engaged in similar activities. I pressed for more details, unable to fathom the reality of my own mother's actions. The discomfort etched across her face was palpable, a clear indication that she wanted to bury the topic. Yet, I forced her to confront it, questioning how she could do such a thing to Dad. Her answers were feeble, laced with regret, and she struggled to articulate the motivation behind her actions. Disgust permeated my thoughts as I absorbed the shocking revelation. Never in my wildest dreams did I envision my own mother entangled in such a sordid affair. She confessed that she honestly didn't know why she succumbed to the advances, regret washing over her as soon as the actions began. Grateful for her confession, my thoughts turned to Dad, imagining the potential tragedy if she had remained silent, unknowingly transmitting the STD to him. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily, and I found myself torn between understanding her regret and grappling with the sheer repugnance of the whole affair. As Mom clings to the belief that Dad will return, an impending revelation awaits her on Saturday, a detail I am privy to but cannot share. Dad, with unwavering resolve, plans to serve Mom with divorce papers at my house. His intention is clear, to provide her with the support of family as he delivers the final blow to their once unshakable union. The upcoming days hold the promise of further turmoil as the aftermath of betrayal and the pursuit of closure unfold. Over 13 months have passed since my last update, and it's now June 2022. People have been inquiring about the situation with my parents, prompting me to return to this platform. Here's the current state of affairs. Mom and Dad are officially divorced, a reality that still feels surreal. Dad, a man of strong convictions, couldn't forgive Mom for her infidelity, severing all contact with her. The only encounters they had post-separation were during the divorce hearings. Dad's decision to cut ties swiftly was surprising, but it reflected the depth of his hurt and the irreparable damage to their relationship. Despite the emotional turmoil, he ensured a fair financial distribution, treating Mom more than generously. While writing this pains me, I comprehend Dad's feelings of betrayal and the need to distance himself. Mom, on the other hand, now resides in a small apartment near us. Gone is the once idyllic life on the river in Arizona with boats, jet skis, and a camper. Instead, she's in a town close to her daughter, living in a modest apartment. The stark contrast underscores the magnitude of what she sacrificed for a fleeting moment of thrill, a temporary happiness that turned out to be a bitter betrayal. The aftermath unfolded differently for each parent. Post-divorce, mom's health rapidly declined, leading to hospitalization for bronchitis, dehydration, malnutrition, and severe depression. A 3-day hospital stay resulted in prescribed medication for her mental health, stabilizing her mind to some extent. Unfortunately, a potential case of lupus emerged, likely triggered by the stress of the divorce and the loss of my father. The doctor emphasized the impact of severe stress on the immune system, exacerbating lupus-like conditions. Mom received specific recommendations to strengthen her immune system and manage stress actively. Her journey to recovery over the past 6 months has been marked by improvement, but she's not the same woman she once was. The toll of the ordeal is evident in her physical and mental well-being, a stark reminder of the lasting consequences of choices made in a moment of weakness. Mom, once a pillar of strength, is now a shadow of her former self. The Crafts Superstore job I secured for her through a friend's managerial position has become a lifeline. She's excelling there, earning commendations as a wonderful employee. Despite this glimmer of purpose, the grim reality is undeniable. She's lost the luxury she once enjoyed, reliant on prescription medications, battling stress that threatens to overwhelm her. She's now living in a small apartment near me, a stark contrast to her previous life. Enough about Mom, let's shift the focus to Dad. He's wasting no time reveling in his newfound freedom as a nomad, exploring the country in his camper. In the past 6 months, he's forged a connection with a woman, and things seem to be getting serious. Although I've urged caution, considering the recent divorce from Mom, he appears content. This woman is a young YouTube vlogger with a passion for travel, sharing common interests with Dad. They've been camping across the country for months, and despite the age difference, their relationship seems genuine. Dad reassures my brother and me that he has no plans to marry again, a sentiment echoed by his girlfriend, who had a failed marriage and isn't eager to repeat the experience. They've found common ground in their love for nature and the outdoors. Expressing gratitude for the guidance received during this challenging time is essential. The thoughtful responses and interest in my family's situation have been heartening. As a loving and hopeful daughter, I share this update with a mix of relief and anticipation for what lies ahead. And now, a brain teaser to ponder: if you were in Dad's shoes, would you forgive a nearly 4-decade partner for a sudden lapse in fidelity? Could you overlook the transgression as a shadow over an otherwise sunny marriage? Or would it be a deal-breaker, igniting a thirst for revenge? The complexities of forgiveness and revenge, emotions entwined in the aftermath of betrayal, for a compelling mental exercise.